What's up, everybody? My name is Jason, and welcome to the $10,000 EIDL grant. Breaking news. It is Saturday, August the 15th, 2020. Please do me a huge favor. Give me a thumbs up on this video. Hashtag EIDL with your comments below. Make sure you share this all over Facebook and Twitter using hashtag EIDL so we can do the retweets. And if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. All right, you're probably wondering why am I standing up instead of sitting at my desk? Well, I'm about to show you. As you can see, I just spilled hot fucking coffee all over the place, but that's not going to stop me from doing my usual live, unedited videos. So allow me to grab this fucking napkin here. I just got this desk. This is the one that I like to smack from time to time. But I tried to do the video about 2 minutes ago, and I went like this. What a surprise, right? All over the place. Scalding hot coffee. Burned my forearm. But here we are. We're back. That's probably going to be one of the more interesting openers of any video that I've ever done. But we don't do edits. We're all about live TV around here. So once again, please, if you want a new experience on YouTube, you're going to want a thumbs up. Hashtag EIDL. Share this thing all over the place. And if you're new, subscribe and hit that bell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I did not only intend to spill coffee all over my brand new desk, but I wasn't going to do a video today, but there's breaking news. And by the way, shout out to Ryder over at Skip and my brother from another mother, Rod Squad, who beat me to this. There is a huge article out from Politico. I just find this interesting. There's a huge article out from Politico last night. I am very tired, by the way. I was up until 4 o'clock in the morning answering thousands of comments. The last 3 videos, at least 5,000 comments in total. That's really me answering, love you, you're welcome, go fuck yourself. Whatever it has to be is what I say. I always speak from the heart. Doesn't mean I'm right. Some people have a problem with the fact that I say the F word way too many times. Ladies and gentlemen, if I didn't, I wouldn't be myself. Raw, real, uncut, unedited. That's who I am. Take it or leave it. But there's an article that I want to dissect here with you real quick, and I want to keep this under 10 minutes, that I think is a game changer once again, right? We keep moving. We're on the 6, probably the 3-inch yard line right now. Congress is on break, right? You've seen me smash them into the dirt the last couple of days as they go off and drink their mint juleps and hang out in Malibu, sucking on $14 a pint chocolate ice cream with Nancy Pelosi. But that's the way it is. That's Washington, D.C. But there's an article in Politico that has me more and more convinced, as I keep telling you guys, right? Some of the haters have jumped, oh, he's just clickbaiting, he's full of shit, breaking news, my ass. There's an article from Politico, and I'm going to give you 3 or 4 things, including Big Ben Cardin talking about loan forgiveness. What? Didn't I say this? Haven't I been telling you guys as I sit here with my arm in hot coffee that I was going to fight to get your loan forgiven? And then the number 2 in command in the Senate Committee for Small Business that got the letter from August 5th from Jackie Rosen and John Cornyn in particular, signed by 11 senators, 7 Republicans and 4 Democrats, demanding that you get $80 billion for the advance and another $100 billion for the loan in the next Corona package. Didn't I tell you, even after I get you the $10,000 along with help from other channels, I've mentioned them many times, LALATE, NAA Worldwide, Rod Squad, Dan over at Allegedly, Ryder at Skip, speaknsee, the Stephen Carlson Show, the beautiful, she's beautiful, isn't she? Aubrey, Janik, and about 4 or 5 others. Forgive me if I failed to mention you. This is live TV with your arm and scalding hot coffee to get us to where we are today. So let me get you onto your weekend after I tell you about this article, which again has Ben Cardin, who's been MIA for the last 30 days, talking about loan forgiveness. Like the PPP. Can you imagine? Can you imagine we get you the $10,000 cash advance and Big Ben, who's second in command behind Rubio in the Senate Committee for Small Business, comes up with a new bill in the next 4 or 5 months before the payments are due, and you don't know a fucking thing. How about that? Gee, I wonder who that sounds like. I wonder who that sounds like. Democrats fight. This is the article. I'll put it in the Politico. Democrats fight to give, quote, severely underfunded business rescue new life. There's several jewels in here. I don't do screen shares. I'm not that fancy. I don't do edits. It's all my iPhone. So allow me to read some of this to you guys. It starts off, where it says, yet, while the program proved to be one of the most criticized relief efforts on Capitol Hill. Really? Democrats and some Republican allies say that small businesses are still so desperate for help as the economic crisis drags on that it needs to be salvaged, i.e. the EIDL program. Fantastic. Fantastic. Shout out to all you guys that keep retweeting all my stuff. It's the squeaky wheels that get the oil. If we go away, 31 million small businesses in this country that are currently represented by about 10 people, including myself, are in big effing trouble. But because we keep pounding away, because you keep engaging, because you keep sharing this with hashtag EIDL all over Facebook and Twitter, they're listening. Big Ben is talking about loan forgiveness. But anyway, it says, quote, speaking of Big Ben, they can do better, says Senator Ben Cardin of Maryland, top Democrat on the Senate Committee for Small Business. Quote, we are not going to give up on the SBA. We are not going to give up on the SBA. I've often asked myself in the last couple of weeks, why haven't Rubio and Cardin stepped up to sponsor S.4227? Answer, they may not be able to. It may have a rule, and I don't know if it's true or not, that the chairman and the second in command can't sponsor a bill inside of their own committee. That may or may not be true. I don't know. But the fact that Big Ben is finally back saying, quote, we're not going to give up on the SBA is a very good sign. I want to read you another quote from a small business advisory firm that's a bit controversial, and give me your thoughts in the comments below. It says, quote, the EIDL program was severely underfunded from the beginning, causing massive delays. Really? Causing massive delays and confusion. Confusion at the SBA? Nah. Confusion at the SBA that stopped and started and capped. Really? They capped loans? First for me, said Amanda Ballantyne, executive director of the Main Street Alliance, a small business advocacy group. Now, here's the controversial part. We absolutely need to expand the grants to small businesses. That's the EIDL Advance program that S.4227 is trying to get $80 billion into the next COVID relief package so you can get 10 grand. Within 72 hours if you're new, and within 15 days, people have asked me, why 15 days? There's almost 7.5 million people in the queue. They're going to have to take up to 2 weeks to process all those loans. The new people that come in, it's a different department. So that's why they're much quicker. If you're stuck in the queue, as some of you have been lost in space for months, it's going to take them 15 days at least to get everybody the full 10 grand when this madness comes to an end. But she says we absolutely need to expand grants to small businesses, but relying on an expansion of another loan program won't fix the gaps in access to federal assistance for all the small businesses left behind. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean another program other than EIDL? I think it does. I don't think she's saying we don't need to expand EIDL loan, which, by the way, they still have $190 billion left over. The president of the United States could end this tomorrow, like I said a few days ago, by moving over, by way of executive order, $80 billion. They don't have to go out and issue more debt. They don't have to go ask somebody's opinion. The SBA has $190 billion in the EIDL loan pile. It's right there at the bank. It's not been spent. They've only loaned out about $160 billion over the last 5 months. In other words, they've got more money sitting there than they've spent over the last 5 months. All he's got to do is move some of that over into the advance pile, and you guys would get 10 grand within 72 hours or up to no more than 2 weeks. Why isn't he doing that? You'll have to ask him. I've certainly done my part. It goes on to say, businesses seeking loans and grants reported long delays. Really? Long delays. Who would have thought? And a lack of communication from the agency. That's an understatement, right? The SBA then ratcheted down the amount of money they would that businesses would receive. While Congress permitted loans up to $2 million in the original CARES Act, which also came under fire for the handling of the Paycheck Protection Program, the SBA decided to cap the maximum amount at $150 illegally. And the agency also limited grants to $1,000 per employee illegally, after lawmakers allowed $10,000 per business, which was the original intention, which 12 letters since, including on August 5th from John Cornyn, who said the intent, congressional intent, was for you to get $10,000 within 48 or within 72 hours. That didn't happen. That's what S.4227 and the folks that are screaming and hollering in this article are calling for. All right, let me go down and just say, along the way, quote, Miss Javita Carranza. We have to give her. So along the way, Miss Javita Carranza says, we stood up an entirely new distribution program, implemented various eligibility changes, and have reached new heights. She's reached new heights, ladies and gentlemen, in our disaster loan response, processing, and disbursement times. Now, I will say in her defense, if you're new, because it's a separate system, they've outsourced it to a division of Rocket Mortgage, it takes you about 48 to 72 hours to get a loan. If you want the grant, i.e. the $10,000 cash advance, which you can spend as you'd like, yes, it's an offset. If you have PPP, it's always been that way. But you don't have to spend it on certain things like you do with respect to the EIDL loan. That's got to be rent, business credit cards, utilities, payroll, etc. All right, so they are much faster. We have to give them that. There's a bit in here about the IG report. There was a lot of fraud, but even though we had people, for example, in Chicago that claimed they were running agricultural businesses out of small apartments, the vast majority, over 99.6%, were legit. In other words, they've only found about $700 million of fraud, but they've loaned out over $180 billion. That's less than 0.5%. So you don't need to shut down the program, despite Senator Rubio, his office comments in here, concerns over fraud. All right. In Cardin's view, the Trump administration, again, this is not about politics, but this is what Cardin had to say. In Cardin's view, the Trump administration did not give the EIDL the same degree of attention as the PPP. That is true, right? The news always wants to talk about PPP, never about EIDL. Congress didn't know how much money to devote to the programs at the outset either, he said, quote, it didn't have the funding that it needed. House Democrats have already proposed another $10 billion in grants in the $3 trillion HEROES Act. That is increased in SDOT 4227 to $80 billion for the grant. Rubio's office says, quote, we look forward to reviewing a formal proposal from the Democrats once it's been made, i.e. in the next few weeks, but remain concerned about the SBA's IG findings. Makes sense. You don't want to give out money to people that are full of shit. This goes on to talk about a guy named Brian Schatz, who's a Democrat in Hawaii, who is also a sponsor of SDOT 4227. We should be able to do everything we can to eliminate fraud, but the solution is not to cut off an important source of financing that will help keep small businesses alive. Thank you very much. One of the proposals, led by Jackie Rosen, a Democrat of Nevada, thank you for allowing me to read this, by the way, folks, and John Cornyn of Texas, proposes another $100 billion for the loans and $80 billion for the grants. It also, by the way, no documentation required, no reapplication required. If you're already in the queue, all you got to do is sit tight. If you've got poor credit, you cannot be denied the $10,000 of cash advance. And even if you want to reject the loan because you don't want to go into debt, under this new bill, SDOT 4227, you're still going to get $10,000 of cash advance. All right, last but not least, and I just lost it here's a second ago. Big Ben had a comment in here. Bear with me, folks. I know I'm getting old. I'm 50 years old. I probably need readers. I can see the screen. But there's a segment in here. I can't find the damn thing, but there's 2 or 3 sentences where Ben Cardin talks about loan forgiveness. And he says, words to the effect, I don't know where the fuck it went, but it's in there. He says, we need to talk about getting EIDL loans forgiven as we have with PPP. And there's also a bill sponsored by Thomas Sweezy in the House out of New York to get the interest rate down to 1% from 3.75. So everything that we've been saying and all this pounding on my hot coffee scalded, my arms probably got 3rd-degree burns, is starting to happen. We've got bills to get the rates down to 1%. We got Big Ben Cardin saying that we need to talk about loan forgiveness. That's going to come after we get you guys the 10 grand of cash advance and a loan up to $2 million. So we've got all these letters. We've got major news outlets, thanks to Rod Squad and others that are constantly pounding on Politico and the New York Times. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. I think we're on the 3 or 4 inch yard line. The next 10 days are going to be painful as they play politics with one another. But everything is moving in our favor. So to keep this damn thing under 15 minutes, knowing that most of you didn't even watch half of it, ladies and gentlemen, I love you. God bless each and every one of you. We're going to keep wailing away. We're going to keep fighting. Even in the middle of spilled hot fucking coffee, we are going to together get the job done.